The war between humans and the Varine Empire had finally ended. After years of fear, destruction, and silence, peace had been signed in orbit above the neutral planet Orlan. It was not a perfect peace, but it was enough to stop the fighting. Both sides were tired. Both had lost too much. The neutral trade station called Haven 9 floated quietly between the two territories. It was a place where both humans and Varine could meet, trade, and rebuild what the war had broken. Engineers, traders, and diplomats worked side by side, trying to fix broken systems and broken trust. Among them was a young human engineer named Rian. He was not a soldier or a leader, just a quiet man with skilled hands and patient eyes. He had come to Haven 9 to repair damaged circuits and life support systems left from the war's chaos. For him, it was a chance to do something peaceful, something good. He didn't talk much, but people respected his calm nature. Rian liked silence. He liked the hum of machines and the sound of electricity running through metal. It was predictable. It never judged, never lied. In his small repair bay, he could forget the noise of politics and the memory of war. One day, a message arrived from the station's administration. A new communication officer from the Varine side had been assigned to help calibrate the signal array. Her name was Allah. When Ryan heard the name, he paused. He had never worked directly with a Varine before. The few he had seen from afar looked almost human, but not quite. Their eyes were brighter, their movements too precise, their voices soft yet controlled. Many humans still felt uneasy around them, but Ryan was curious instead of afraid. That same afternoon, she arrived. Ryan was adjusting a panel when the door slid open, and a tall, slender figure stepped inside. Her silver-gray uniform was spotless, and her long hair, pale like frost, was tied neatly behind her head. Her skin had a faint shimmer, like moonlight on water, but it was her eyes that caught Ryan's breath. They were a calm silver blue, bright yet distant, as if reflecting 1,000 quiet stars. "Engineer Rian," she said softly. Her accent was strange but clear. "Yes," Ryan replied, trying not to stare. "You must be Officer Allah." She gave a small nod. "I was told to assist with the communication link repairs. I brought the new data chip from the Varine network." Her movements were graceful, almost too perfect. Every gesture felt measured, every word chosen carefully. Ryan could sense a quiet discipline in her, something deeper than training. The Varine were known for emotional control. Some said they didn't even feel emotions the way humans did. But there was something gentle about her tone that made him doubt that rumor. "All right," he said, gesturing to the open console. "We'll start by aligning the frequency relays. The system's been unstable since last week." She stepped closer, watching as he worked. The soft light from the console reflected in her eyes. Ryan felt his chest tighten for a moment, an unfamiliar warmth spreading quietly inside him. He had seen many people before, humans and aliens alike, but something about her made the air around him feel different. He told himself it was curiosity, but deep down he knew it wasn't. They worked in silence for a few minutes. Ryan focused on the wiring, but his thoughts drifted again and again toward her calm presence beside him. When he spoke, his voice came out softer than usual. "So, Officer Allah, first time working on a human station?" She glanced at him briefly. "Yes. My command assigned me to assist with repairs and observe communication behavior between species." Her voice was calm even, but there was a faint pause before her next words. "Your people speak freely. It is unusual," Rian smiled faintly. "We talk a lot, even when we shouldn't." Allah tilted her head slightly as if studying him. "I have noticed. Humans seem open. You express emotion easily. Is that strange to you?" he asked. "Not strange," she said slowly. "Different. Among the Varine, emotion is controlled. We are taught to think before feeling," Ryan nodded. "And humans are the opposite. We feel first and think later." For a second, he thought he saw the smallest hint of a smile on her face. It was barely there, but it was real. Over the next few days, they worked together often. The signal array needed constant adjustments, and Allah's precision helped balance Ryan's creative problem-solving. Where he improvised, she analyzed. Where she hesitated, he acted. Together, they made a quiet but perfect team. And every day, Ryan found himself watching her more closely. The way her fingers moved over the console, the way her eyes softened when she listened, the way her voice lowered when she spoke carefully to avoid sounding too direct. There was a rhythm to her presence, gentle, calm, and mesmerizing. He told himself it was just respect for a good coworker. But each night when he left the repair bay, her image stayed with him. He could still hear her voice in his mind. He didn't understand it, but it felt right. Allah, on the other hand, noticed something she couldn't explain. She had studied humans during the peace talks, learning their body language and speech. But Rian's quiet warmth was something different. He didn't force conversation or show off his skills. He was kind. And when he looked at her, there was no fear, no judgment, just honest curiosity. For a Varine, being observed like that was unusual. Their culture valued control and distance. Yet, instead of discomfort, she felt a strange calm when he was near. One evening, they stayed late to finish the final frequency calibration. The large observation window of the repair bay showed the stars gliding slowly outside. The blue light from the console painted their faces in soft color. Rian checked the readings. Almost done. Just one more line to balance. Ala leaned over, her hand brushing his as she adjusted a control. The touch was accidental, but Rian froze for a second. Her skin felt cool like smooth metal warmed by sunlight. She quickly pulled her hand back. Apologies, she said softly. I did not intend to. It's all right, Rian said quickly, trying to hide the sudden rush in his chest. No harm done. For a moment, they both stood still. The silence between them felt different now, warmer, heavier with unspoken thoughts. Then Allah looked up at the stars outside the window. You're kind. You always look outward, she said quietly. Even after war, you search for more. Why? Rian followed her gaze. Because if we stop looking up, we stop hoping. And hope is something humans can't live without. Allah turned to him slowly. There was a faint reflection of the stars in her silver eyes. Hope, she repeated. That word has no true translation in our language. Rian smiled gently. Then maybe I can teach you. Something changed in her expression, so small yet powerful. The distant calm in her eyes softened for the first time. She didn't answer, but she didn't look away either. Later, when Allah left the repair bay, she walked through the quiet corridors of Haven 9 and felt something new inside her. It wasn't logical or measurable. It was light. The human engineer's words echoed in her mind. Hope. The sound of it stayed with her like music. Rian watched her go from the doorway. He didn't understand what was happening to him, but he didn't want it to stop. The war had taken so much from everyone. Trust, friendship, warmth. But maybe in this strange new peace something better was beginning. That night, in his small quarters, Rian couldn't sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw her face again. He remembered the faint shimmer of her hair, the calm in her voice, the brief touch of her hand. He laughed softly to himself. Love at first sight, he whispered. That only happens in old stories. But deep inside he knew it was true. He had fallen for her the moment he saw her. Far away in her own quarters, Allah sat by her terminal, reviewing the day's work. Her heart beat strangely fast, though she couldn't explain why. She touched her wrist where his hand had brushed hers and felt a warmth that refused to fade. She didn't understand human emotion yet, but one thing she did understand. That man's eyes had shown her something no translation device could explain. Something purely human. Something powerful, and for the first time in her life, Allah realized that she wanted to understand it. The next morning, Haven 9 was alive with quiet movement. Engineers walked through shining corridors. Traders argued politely in mixed languages, and the low hum of machinery filled the air. Peace had brought life back to the station, but it was still fragile, like glass after being cracked and glued together again. Rian woke early, though he hadn't slept much. His thoughts kept drifting back to Allah. Her calm eyes, her careful words, the moment their hands had touched. He had told himself it was just a passing thought, something small, but it wasn't. Every time he saw the empty repair bay, he felt a strange pull, as if waiting for her arrival. He tried to focus on his work. Circuits, code, and schematics, and they made sense. Feelings didn't. Yet every few minutes he caught himself glancing toward the door, wondering if she'd walk in. When she finally did, the air seemed to change. Allah stepped in quietly, carrying a small crystal tablet from the Varine network. Her uniform was as neat as always, but her expression looked softer today, less guarded. Good morning, Engineer Rian, she said. Rian looked up and smiled. Morning, Officer Allah. Ready for another long day? She gave a small nod. The data from last night's signal check shows improvement. The frequency gap has reduced by 6%. Good news, he said, trying not to sound too cheerful. They began their work side by side. The console glowed softly, lighting their faces. Every movement felt familiar now. The rhythm of typing, checking, testing. Yet beneath that calm, something quiet grew stronger between them. At one point, Rian noticed Allah staring at the display longer than usual. Her silver eyes flickered with faint light. "Is something wrong?" he asked. She hesitated. "Not wrong. I was thinking about your word from yesterday. Hope. I tried to study its meaning in your human dictionary, but none of the definitions feel complete." Ryan smiled gently. "That's because hope isn't just a word. It's a feeling. You can't define it, you feel it." Allah looked curious. "How do you know when you feel it?" He paused, thinking. "It's like when things look impossible, but you still believe they can get better, even when everything tells you to give up." She tilted her head slightly. "Vereen logic says belief without proof is weakness, and human hearts say it's strength," Ryan replied softly. "Because hope is what helps us stand again after falling." For a long moment she didn't speak. Then she looked at him and said quietly, "That is different, but not unpleasant." Rian laughed softly. "That's the start of understanding it." Allah didn't smile, but her eyes warmed for a second, just a flash, before she turned back to her work. During the following weeks, their connection deepened. They met almost every day in the repair bay, talking about machines, languages, and small pieces of life. Ryan told her about Earth, oceans that stretched endlessly, cities filled with music, and skies filled with birds that never stopped flying. Allah listened with quiet wonder. The Vereen world, she explained, was ordered and peaceful but silent. Their skies were gray and still. Their people spoke with control, never laughter. They valued balance above joy. Rian tried to imagine that life. "Doesn't it get lonely?" he asked. "Loneliness is not a common word among us," she answered. "We share thoughts through the network, but sometimes I wonder what it would be like to feel something without control." "You mean to just let it happen?" "Yes," she said softly. "To let emotion move you even if it makes no sense." Ryan smiled. "That's pretty much how humans live." Her gaze lingered on him for a moment, as if trying to understand what that truly meant. Not everyone on Haven 9 liked their friendship. Some humans still held bitterness toward the Varine, calling them cold or untrustworthy. A few of Allah's own people whispered that she was becoming too human. One afternoon, while Allah was reviewing frequency charts, a message appeared on her datapad. It was from the Vereen Council. "Maintain emotional discipline. Avoid prolonged personal attachment to human subjects." Her fingers froze on the screen. Personal attachment? She read the message twice, feeling a strange pressure in her chest. She hadn't realized how close she and Ryan had become until someone warned her about it. When Ryan walked in later that day, she hid the message quickly. He noticed the faint tension in her voice. "Everything okay?" "Yes," she said after a pause. "Just council communication. Routine." He nodded, though her tone worried him. "If it's about the repairs, I can help." "It is not technical," she said quietly. Something about her answer made him frown, but he didn't ask again. Instead, he tried to lighten the mood. "You know, humans have a saying, all problems look smaller after coffee." "Coffee," she repeated. "That dark drink humans seem to love." "That's the one." She looked uncertain. "I read that it tastes bitter." "Only the first time," he said, smiling. "Then you start to like it." Later, during their break, he brought her a small steaming cup from the human cafeteria. Allah looked at it curiously, as if studying a strange artifact. "Try it," Rian encouraged. "Just a sip." She hesitated, then lifted it slowly to her lips. The smell was strong, the taste unfamiliar. Her eyes blinked once. "It is strange. Strange good or strange bad?" "I cannot tell yet," she admitted, setting the cup down. "But it makes me feel awake." Ryan laughed softly. "That's exactly what it's supposed to do." Allah watched him laugh, and for the first time in her life she felt something new stir inside her chest. A warmth that had no logic, no rule. She didn't understand it, but she didn't want it to stop. Days passed and rumors spread across the station. Some said the Vereen Council might recall all officers for emotional reassessment. The peace was still fragile. Any mistake could break it. Allah worried silently. What would happen if they ordered her home? She tried not to think about it, but the thought followed her everywhere. That evening, she found Ryan again in the repair bay, fixing a damaged power converter. The blue sparks reflected in his eyes. She stood by the door for a long time before speaking. "Ryan," she said softly. He turned, wiping his hands on his sleeve. "Allah, you look worried." "I received another message," she said. "They are reviewing all officers who have shown emotional deviation," he frowned. "They mean you?" She nodded once. "Perhaps. The Varine believe too much emotion can affect judgment. They think I have been influenced," Ryan's voice lowered. "Because of me?" Allah looked away. "They did not say, but I fear it is true." He took a step closer. "You've done nothing wrong." "In their eyes, maybe I have," she said quietly. "Among the Varine, control is honor. If they believe I have lost it, they may call me back." Ryan felt a dull ache inside. The idea of losing her, of her vanishing back to a world where emotion was forbidden, made his chest tighten. He didn't know what to say. Finally, he whispered, "You said once you wanted to feel without control. Maybe that's what you're doing now." Allah looked up at him, surprised. For a moment, the calm mask she always wore slipped. Her voice softened. "Humans are strange creatures. You risk peace for feeling. You accept pain for connection. It is illogical." He smiled sadly. "Maybe, but that's what makes us human." She looked at him for a long moment. There was no sound, only the soft hum of the console and the distant pulse of the station's engines. Then quietly she said, "Perhaps logic is not everything." That night they walked together to the observation deck. The stars outside looked endless, bright rivers of light stretching across the dark. Allah stood beside him, her hands folded behind her back. "Do you ever think about how small we are?" she asked. "All the time," Ryan said. "But it doesn't scare me. It just makes everything we feel seem more important." She turned her gaze toward him. "In Varine culture, we are taught that feelings fade. But humans believe feelings can last forever." "Maybe not forever," he said quietly, "but long enough to matter." For the first time, Allah smiled. A real small human smile. "You speak in ways I do not understand, but I like listening." They stood there in silence, side by side. No promises, no words, just shared peace. Ryan looked at her, realizing that he didn't care about the barriers between their worlds anymore. He didn't care about logic or permission. What he felt was simple, honest, and real. And somewhere deep inside, Allah began to understand something her people had forgotten. That emotion wasn't a weakness. It was life. That night, she returned to her quarters and sent a message back to her superiors. Request temporary delay of recall. Communication project with human engineer Rian requires completion. Emotional condition, stable. She hesitated before pressing send. Then quietly, she added one more line. Human concept hope and requires further study. The next few days on Haven 9 were calm, almost too calm. The work continued, but an unspoken tension floated in the air. Whispers about the Varine recall grew stronger. Many believed the council was preparing to pull their officers back to avoid emotional influence from humans. Rian tried to stay focused, but his mind wandered. He couldn't stop thinking about what Allah had told him, that she might be taken away because she had started to feel. The idea made him restless. He had finally found someone who made the world feel peaceful again, and now she might disappear. Allah continued her duties with quiet grace. But something had changed in her eyes. She no longer carried the cold calm of a perfect Varine officer. There was warmth now, hidden but real. When she walked through the station corridors, some of her own kind looked at her differently, as if they sensed something human in her now. She ignored the whispers. Her focus stayed on her work with Rian, but when she looked at him, her heart, once steady like a machine, began to beat faster. She didn't understand this feeling, but she didn't fear it either. One morning, Rian entered the repair bay to find Allah already there, studying a holographic screen filled with strange readings. "What's that?" he asked. "An irregular energy pattern," she said, her silver eyes focused. "It started near the outer rings of the station. If not balanced, it could overload the power grid." Ryan frowned and joined her at the console. "That's not good. The grid connects to life support." "Yes," she said. "We must find the cause before it spreads." For hours they worked side by side. The lights flickered once or twice and the hum of the station deepened. Sweat formed on Ryan's forehead as he reconnected circuit lines, while Allah calculated the changing frequencies. "This energy wave isn't natural," she said finally. "It feels directed." "Directed?" Ryan asked. "Like someone caused it?" "Possibly. Or maybe it's a leftover signal from the war. But whatever it is, we need to shut it down fast." They followed the trail of energy readings deeper into the station. The maintenance tunnels were narrow and dimly lit. Pipes hissed quietly as steam drifted through the air. Rian carried a portable light while Allah held her scanner. "You shouldn't be here," he said, glancing at her. "It's dangerous in these tunnels." She gave a small smile. "You forget I am not fragile." "I didn't say you were," Ryan replied softly. "But I'd rather not see you get hurt." Her steps slowed for a second. "Why do you care so much?" she asked gently. Ryan hesitated, his heart beating faster. "Because you matter to me." For a moment the tunnel was silent. The only sound was the hum of the reactor below them. Allah turned her head slightly, her eyes meeting his. "Humans say such things easily," she whispered. "Do you mean it?" He looked at her, really looked, and nodded. "Yes, I do," she didn't answer. But the warmth in her eyes deepened before she turned back to her scanner. They reached the power hub, a massive chamber filled with glowing conduits and heavy cables. The energy pulse was stronger here, flashing red across the monitors. "Something's interfering with the stabilizer," Ryan said, running to the main console. "If the core overheats, the system will shut down automatically." Allah's scanner beeped sharply. "No time." "The readings are rising fast." She moved to the backup controls while Ryan opened the circuit panel. Sparks flew as he tried to reroute the current manually. "Be careful," Allah said sharply. "The voltage is unstable." "I can handle it," he said, though sweat was already forming on his brow. He reached inside the panel, his fingers working fast. The hum of the power lines grew louder, deeper, almost like a roar. Allah stepped closer, trying to help. But the next moment, a flash of white light burst from the circuit. Ryan instinctively turned and pushed her back, shielding her with his body. The energy pulse struck his arm, throwing them both to the floor. The noise faded. The lights flickered, then steadied again. Allah blinked, dazed, then quickly sat up. "Ryan!" He was on the floor beside her, his sleeve burned and smoke rising from the fabric. His face was pale, but his eyes were open. "I'm okay," he said weakly. "Just a small shock." Allah's hands trembled slightly as she examined his arm. The burns were real, but not deep. "You shielded me," she said quietly, her voice breaking for the first time. Ryan gave a faint smile. "Couldn't let you get hurt. Why?" she asked softly, her voice almost a whisper. He looked at her, and in his tired eyes she saw no logic, only pure feeling. "Because I care," he said simply. Something inside Allah's chest broke open then, a wall she hadn't known existed. She had seen humans talk of love and kindness, but now she understood it. It wasn't weakness. It wasn't madness. It was choice. The choice to protect, to give, to feel. She felt a rush of warmth in her chest, followed by a strange ache. For the first time in her life, she truly felt. She helped Rian to his feet and guided him back to the console. Despite his pain, he smiled at her. "We did it. The readings are stabilizing." "Yes," she said, checking the screen. "You stopped the surge." Ryan sat down slowly, breathing heavily. "Good teamwork, right?" Allah looked at him, and a faint smile touched her lips. "Yes, perfect teamwork." For a moment, silence filled the room. The red warning lights faded back to blue. Allah knelt beside him, her hand hovering above his burned sleeve. "Does it hurt much?" she asked softly. "I've had worse," he said, trying to sound brave. "You risked your life," she whispered. "For me." He smiled faintly. "Would you have done the same?" She hesitated, her silver eyes shining softly. "Before meeting you." "No, but now." "Yes." Ryan met her gaze, and in that instant words weren't needed. She understood the truth in his eyes, that he had loved her from the beginning. And he saw the realization dawning in hers. For a long time, they just sat there side by side in the glow of the reactor lights, surrounded by the quiet hum of the restored power grid. Later that night, Allah returned to her quarters. She stood before her reflection, studying her own face. The calm expression she had practiced all her life was gone. In its place was something alive. Emotion. She touched her chest, where her heart beat faster than ever. "This is what it means," she whispered. "To feel?" On her table, her datapad blinked with a message from the council. She opened it slowly. "Officer Allah, Emotional indicators detected in your recent activity reports. Return to homeworld immediately for evaluation. She stared at the message for a long time, then quietly switched it off. She couldn't go, not now. Not after understanding what humanity truly meant. Meanwhile, Ryan was in the medical bay getting his arm treated. The medic bandaged it carefully, shaking his head. "You humans always take risks," he muttered. Ryan laughed softly. "Yeah, maybe we do." When the medic left, Ryan stared at the stars through the window. He thought of Allah. Her calm eyes, her soft voice, the way she had looked at him after the accident. He didn't know what would happen next, but he knew one thing. He would do anything to protect her. The next day, Allah met him again in the repair bay. Her face was serious. "Ryan," she said quietly, "I have been ordered to return." His heart sank. "When?" "Tomorrow." He stood still, not knowing what to say. "So that's it? After everything we've done?" She lowered her gaze. "If I refuse, they may send others to bring me back. It would cause trouble for both of us." He took a step closer. "You don't have to go. Stay. We'll find a way." Her voice trembled slightly. "I wish I could." For a moment, neither spoke. The silence between them was heavy, filled with everything they couldn't say. Then quietly she added, "Ryan, before I leave, I want to thank you." "For what?" "For showing me what it means to feel. For teaching me that emotion is not weakness," he smiled sadly. "And you taught me that calm doesn't mean cold." Her silver eyes softened. She lifted her hand slowly, placing it over his bandaged arm. "When I first met you," she whispered, "I did not understand why you looked at me the way you did. Now, I do." Ryan felt his heart race. "And what do you see now?" She looked at him and her voice was barely a whisper. "I see a man who changed me." Then, slowly, she leaned forward and rested her forehead against his, a simple gesture of closeness in her culture. No words, no promises, just quiet understanding. That night, as the stars drifted silently beyond the station windows, Allah sent one final message to the Varine Council. Return delayed. Human cooperation project not yet complete. She paused before sending it, then added one last line. Human concept, love, requires further observation. She pressed send and closed her eyes. For the first time, she felt completely alive. The sun, or what passed for sunlight through the station's observation domes, cast soft streaks of gold across the corridors of Haven 9. For most of the station's inhabitants, it was a quiet, normal morning, but for Ryan, every breath felt heavier than usual. Allah had told him she might be recalled by the Varine Council. Tomorrow, if nothing changed, she would be gone. The thought of waking up and finding her gone made his chest tighten. He tried to focus on his work, checking systems and monitoring power grids, but every blinking light and every hum of machinery reminded him of her absence. And yet, she was there. Walking toward him, silver hair tied neatly, eyes glowing softly in the light. She moved with her usual grace, but there was a faint tension in her posture. "Good morning, Ryan," she said, her voice calm but carrying an unspoken weight. "Morning, Allah," he replied. "Sleep well?" "Not much," she admitted. "I was thinking," Ryan nodded. "About tomorrow?" Allah didn't answer immediately. She scanned the room, avoiding his gaze. Then she whispered, "I do not know what I should do. My duty says I must return, but my heart..." Her voice trailed off. Ryan felt a sudden ache in his chest. "Your heart?" he asked softly. "Yes," she said, finally meeting his eyes. "It tells me not to leave. But I fear the council will not understand." Ryan took a step closer. "Then maybe we should show them what it means to care." Allah's lips parted slightly. Care, Ryan said. "Humans risk everything for what they love. Maybe your council will see that too." Her silver eyes softened, but the tension remained. "You are brave to say this, but humans are different. My people may not accept your ways." He smiled faintly. "Maybe that's why we need each other." They spent the morning finishing repairs on the communication arrays. Every now and then, Ryan stole glances at her, wondering how he could tell her what he felt without frightening her. Allah noticed his glances and felt a strange warmth inside her chest. It was a feeling she had been learning slowly, an unfamiliar pull toward another being. She didn't understand it, but she knew she didn't want it to end. "Ryan," she said quietly while recalibrating a frequency node, "have you always been So willing to risk yourself for others? Ryan paused, screwdriver in hand. I guess it's what humans do. We protect what we care about. Even if it hurts, Allah watched him carefully. Even if it hurts, she repeated. The words echoed in her mind, almost like a secret mantra. Later that day, the station's alarms blared. Red lights flashed, echoing through the corridors. Ryan and Allah sprinted toward the control hub. The display showed an incoming Varine delegation unannounced. Their mission? Retrieve Allah immediately and return her to the homeworld for evaluation. Ryan's stomach sank. They're coming for you, he said. Allah's eyes narrowed slightly. I know they are swift. They will arrive in minutes. Then we have to decide what to do, he said. You don't have to go. Her gaze met his, steady yet filled with uncertainty. If I refuse, it could mean serious consequences for both of us. Ryan clenched his fists. Sometimes the right choice is not the safe choice. She stared at him, searching for a solution that balanced duty and heart. Then slowly she nodded. Perhaps there is a way, but it will require trust. Then we trust, Ryan said simply. The two of them worked quickly. Ryan rerouted communication channels to delay the Varine delegation, while Allah calculated the optimal path for her temporary escape within the station. Every action was precise. Every step counted. For the first time, Allah relied fully on another being, not just for technical help, but for emotional guidance. She felt a rush of trust that she had never experienced in her life. Rian, she said softly, your people, you trust hearts, not just logic. He looked at her, eyes steady. Because hearts are stronger than logic sometimes. She felt a wave of emotion, unfamiliar but compelling. Her heart beat fast, and for a moment she forgot the rules of her world. All that mattered was the man standing beside her, working tirelessly to protect her. Minutes later, the Varine delegation arrived. Their ships docked smoothly, silent and intimidating. Officers in silver uniforms stepped out, moving with precision, but they did not speak immediately. Their leader, a stern woman named Verena, approached the control hub. Officer Allah, she said in her crisp, formal voice. You are required to return immediately. There is no room for delay. Allah stood tall, but her voice wavered slightly. I understand, Commander. But there is a matter of urgency regarding the communication arrays. The human engineer has discovered irregular energy flows that require my attention. Verena raised an eyebrow. Irregular flows do not justify delay. You are coming with us, Ryan stepped forward. Wait, she's finishing important work. The station depends on it. It's not safe to leave now. Verena's gaze shifted to him. And you, human, what is your concern here? Ryan took a deep breath. Because she matters. And because if she leaves now, the station, and maybe even your people, could face harm. We can finish this together, but she cannot be taken yet. There was silence. Allah watched him, her heart swelling. The human before her had risked so much, not just physically, but with his words, his courage, his honesty. She realized she had fallen for him completely, and now he was standing up for her. Verena studied him carefully, her sharp eyes searching for weakness. Interesting, she said finally. Your human ideals are different from our expectations. You risk everything for someone else? Yes, Ryan said simply. Because she is worth it. Allah felt her chest tighten. His words were raw, honest, human. No council rule, no calculation, just truth. The tension was high, but before Verena could respond, alarms in the control hub blared again. The energy surge had returned, stronger this time. Red lights flashed across the walls. We have no choice, Ryan said, turning to Allah. We fix this now, together. Allah nodded, determination shining in her eyes. Yes, together. They worked side by side, hands moving in perfect synchronization. Ryan rerouted circuits while Allah recalculated the frequencies. Sparks flew, monitors beeped, and the station shook slightly under the strain. For the Varine officers watching, the human engineer's courage was astonishing. And for Allah, the human's heart was undeniable. She felt every risk he took as if it were her own. Finally, after tense minutes, the reading stabilized. The lights shifted from red to blue. The station was safe again. Allah exhaled, leaning against the console. We did it. Ryan smiled, though sweat dripped from his brow. We did it together. She looked at him, silver eyes shining. I understand now what it means to feel deeply for another. I see your heart, Ryan, and Feel the same. Ryan's chest tightened. You feel the same? She nodded. Yes, for a moment nothing else existed. No council, no rules, no consequences. Only the two of them standing together sharing the same truth. Verena stepped forward slowly, her expression unreadable. You demonstrate courage and logic, human and Verena alike. It is unusual, but effective. Allah's breath caught slightly. Could she really trust the council after this? Verena continued. I will report that the station's safety was preserved due to combined effort. You may remain temporarily, but understand this is a privilege, not a right. You are observed. Allah bowed her head slightly. Understood, Commander. Ryan exhaled softly. That was close. Yes, she said, glancing at him. Too close, but necessary. That night, Ryan and Allah returned to the observation deck. The stars shone like rivers of light against the dark sky. They stood silently, side by side. Ryan's hand brushed hers, tentative but not hesitant. She let him take it, fingers intertwining. I was afraid, he whispered. Afraid I might lose you. I was afraid too, she admitted. But now, I see that emotions are not chains. They are strength, and I choose to feel them. With you. Ryan's heart leapt. With me? She nodded. Yes, I trust you, and I care for you. He smiled softly, brushing a strand of silver hair from her face. And I have loved you since the moment I first saw you. Her eyes glimmered. I understand now. I see your heart, and it has shown me mine. For the first time, the barrier between human and Varine seemed small, almost invisible. The world outside the station still carried rules, expectations, and caution. But here, in this quiet moment, two hearts had found each other, and that was enough. The days that followed the energy surge felt heavier than any Ryan had experienced. Though the Varine Council had allowed Allah to remain temporarily, the uncertainty of the future hung over them like a shadow. Yet for Ryan and Allah, something unspoken had shifted between them. The moment they had shared in the power hub when he had shielded her from danger had changed everything. The connection they had built, slowly, quietly, with shared work and honest words, was now undeniable. Every day they worked together side by side, recalibrating systems and monitoring communications. They shared small conversations, laughter, and moments of silence that felt like warmth. For Ryan, every glance at Allah reminded him why he had fallen in love at first sight. For Allah, every careful smile and gentle gesture reminded her that feeling was not weakness. It was courage. One morning, as the station rotated slowly around the distant sun, Allah approached Ryan with a small device in her hands. This arrived from my people, she said softly. It is a communication relay meant to assist in translation between humans and Varine. But there is something else. Ryan took it, examining the small crystal embedded in the device. It glowed faintly, humming softly. What else? He asked. It is a gift, Allah said, her silver eyes bright. A symbol of trust. The Varine rarely give personal gifts, but this, it is meant for someone who has shown understanding and courage. Ryan looked at her, heart racing. For me? Yes, she whispered. You have shown me the meaning of hope and of feeling. You have changed me, Ryan. I wanted to give something in return. He felt a warmth spread through his chest. I don't know what to say. You do not need to say anything, she replied. Just accept it. It is not about words. Ryan held the crystal carefully, feeling a strange hum of energy beneath his fingertips. It seemed to pulse gently as if alive. Thank you, he said finally, voice low. I'll treasure this forever. Allah smiled faintly. And I will remember your courage. Your heart is unlike any I have known. The days continued. The Varine delegation that had arrived earlier remained in orbit, observing. Ryan and Allah moved carefully, ensuring that every action they took could be defended as necessary work. Yet the closeness between them became impossible to hide. One afternoon, a message came through from the Varine Council. Allah was to lead a cultural exchange mission to Earth, a chance for the two species to learn from one another. The message was formal and clear. She could leave Haven 9, but her presence among humans would be closely monitored. Allah looked at Ryan, her expression a mixture of excitement and uncertainty. I am to visit your world, she said softly. Ryan's eyes lit up. Earth? That's incredible. You'll see oceans, mountains, forests, cities, people everywhere. It's wonderful, she studied him. I do not know what to expect, but I want to see it. With your guidance, Rian. I'll show you everything, he said, smiling. And I'll be with you the whole time. Allah's silver eyes shimmered. Then perhaps this is the start of something new. Between our peoples and between us, Rian's heart leapt. Yes, he whispered. Between us. The day of departure arrived. The shuttle waiting for Allah and the cultural exchange team glided silently through the docking bay. Humans and Vareen alike watched as the crew prepared to leave. Rian stood beside Allah, his hands brushing hers in a brief, gentle hold. Are you ready? He asked. She looked at him, taking a deep breath. Yes, I am ready, but I will miss this station. And you? I will be here waiting, Rian said. I will see you again soon. Her lips curved into a small, sincere smile. And I will return, I promise. For a moment the station seemed quiet, holding its breath. Then, with the soft hum of engines and a gentle lift into orbit, Allah's shuttle began its journey toward Earth. Rian watched until it became a small silver dot against the endless stars. His heart felt heavy, yet full of hope, full of trust, full of belief that what they had found could survive across worlds. On board the shuttle, Allah looked out the viewport. Earth grew larger below her, a swirl of blue oceans, green forests, and shining cities. She had imagined it countless times during her studies, but seeing it with her own eyes, guided by Ryan's words and memories, filled her with awe. It is beautiful, she whispered. Yes, Rian replied beside her, and it is better because you are seeing it with me. She turned her gaze toward him, silver eyes bright with emotion. You have changed everything for me. You have shown me courage, hope, and feeling. I do not wish to forget this. Then we won't, Rian said, smiling gently. We'll build something new, together. The cultural exchange began slowly. Allah met humans, learning their ways, trying food she had only read about and observing the art, music, and laughter of people she had never truly understood. Every day she shared insights from the Vareen perspective, showing humans the logic, patience, and care her people valued, and every day she returned to Rian. Side by side, they explored Earth, walking through forests, watching the sun set over oceans, learning the rhythms of humanity firsthand. In their quiet moments, they would stand together, hands brushing, shoulders touching, and speak softly of dreams, plans, and feelings. Allah had never imagined that trust and courage could feel so powerful. Ryan had never imagined that love could inspire such quiet strength in someone so disciplined. Months passed. News of the cultural exchange spread across both species. Humans admired the discipline and wisdom of the Vareen. Vareen officers began to see the value of feeling, of connection, and of hope. Ryan and Allah became symbols of this new understanding. Together, they demonstrated that the heart and courage of one human could inspire an entire species. One evening, standing on a cliff overlooking the ocean, Allah turned to Ryan. Your people, you are so brave. You risk everything for what you care about, and you have shown me that courage does not always come from rules. Sometimes it comes from feeling. Rian smiled, brushing a strand of her silver hair from her face. And you have shown me that calm and discipline can guide hearts in ways I never imagined. Together we are stronger. Allah reached for his hand, intertwining her fingers with his. Then perhaps, this is what peace looks like. Not absence of conflict, but understanding between hearts, Ryan nodded. Yes, and I will walk with you through it and wherever it leads. Her eyes glimmered with tears she did not try to hide. Then let us begin, she whispered. Years later, Allah and Ryan stood together at the opening ceremony of a joint human-Vareen research facility. Scientists, engineers, and diplomats from both species watched as the two of them cut the ceremonial ribbon. The building itself symbolized unity, human creativity and Vareen precision combined to create something stronger than either alone. As they stepped forward, the crowd cheered. But Rian and Allah only saw each other. Their hands were still intertwined. Their hearts had learned to trust, to hope, and to feel without fear. This is ours, Rian said softly. Yes, Allah replied, her silver eyes shining with warmth. Ours, and it will only grow stronger. Later, when the crowd had dispersed, Allah handed Rian the small crystal she had first given him, now glowing softly, a symbol of memory, trust, and courage. You have taught me more than any counsel could, she said. You have reminded me of what it means to feel. And I want you to know I choose this life, this heart, this future, and with you. Rian held her hands carefully, smiling. And I choose you, Allah. From the moment I first saw you, I knew, and now I will never let go. They stood together, gazing at the horizon where stars met the oceans. The universe was vast, full of unknowns, but they no longer feared it, because they had each other, and in that human and Vereen heart, a simple truth had been realized. Courage, hope, and love could bridge worlds. In a universe filled with distant stars, cold empires, and endless possibilities, one human heart had reminded another species and one alien woman's of warmth, trust, and connection, and that warmth would never fade. The end.